So, folks, welcome. PopsToberFest rolls on. With two more videos will be coming your way. We're going to sit down with this guy again. That's right. Baron is in the house. We're going to talk about House 1985. Hope you're doing well. Baron, my friend, we are having a blast doing these, man. I tell you what,
Oh yeah,
it's been good. Thanks for doing this, man. It's been fun.
right. I mean, overall, very good selections that we've had. We've had our Howling 2 and Forbidden Planet roadblocks, but or bumps, whatever you want to call it. But it only makes us really enjoy the other ones that came along and those little hidden gems that you never think. And of course, the Halloween season is just full of that. Needless to say.
So, yeah, I tell you, it's really been a blast to realize that there is just such a massive library of things that you can pull from to find something enjoyable to watch this time of the year, folks, to give you a little bit of the whole spooky, kooky, creepy feel. And House is one of those.
In 1980, they terrified the world with Friday the 13th. Now, Sean Cunningham and Steve Miner have found a new home for horror. House. It's waiting for you. No! House.
It is a film that I had saw back in the day. Did not see it in theaters. I don't remember seeing it in theaters. Probably a VHS, as I've mentioned a couple times before. We would get these rentals from this local store. You could get between like 4 and 6 at a time. We would just sit and binge these movies, have a good time doing it. Had a lot of positive and vibe memories of this movie and no aversion to watching it again. So I saw it on Tubi. Was like, hey, we'll put this on the radar screen. We'll watch it again. I'm glad you said good to it. And our world keeps getting smaller because we recently talked about Lake Placid. And this is the same director. Did not know that. So Steve Miner is directing this. And the story is done by his regular collaborator, Fred Decker, who I also had talked about a little bit because he's connected to Monster Squad, which I did with my daughter Tay. So, yeah, House is a fun one. House is a fun one.
I haven't seen Monster Squad since I saw it on cable. I mean, I saw this one on cable. And I just got to sit back and say one thing. I'm very envious that your video store lets you have like 4 to 6 at a time. Our place would only let us have 3.
Yeah, I have vivid memories of this one place, and it was at the corner. We live very remote, so they had no competition. And I assume maybe my friend's mom, who was the one that we would watch these with, maybe she had a super account or something. I don't know. But reality is we didn't keep them very long. We were just burning through. It was like a weekend binging thing. And as an adult, if you could time travel, man, it would be really fun to be able to go back and live through those moments, like just quietly sneak into my body and have that, wow, this was crazy. We were able to just hang out, do nothing, think about nothing, just watch movies, chit chat. And so you have these little wooden tags, you know how like they have these little key, you know how like you can have these things in your house where you can label keys and they have like a key ring holder and the little tags are like wooden, and they were wooden.
Yeah.
And that's what you would get. And all the videos, of course, were behind the desk. This is pre-Blockbuster by a lot. So they weren't out there to grab you. You had to go up there with your little wooden tag and get your movies. So, yeah, William Catt, just a ghost, scary movie, haunted house type film.
This is a house where no one should live. Roger Cobb has come here alone. But no one is ever alone in the house.
Leave while you can. No!
Sandy.
Horror has found a new home. House. Enter at your own risk. Starts Friday, February 28th at a theater near you.
A little bit of a teaser here where, young man goes in and finds the old lady that's taking care of herself. Then you have a funeral and there's our leading guy. And what they did, I thought was really smart, Baron. And so many people today are not doing this. And this was so smart to keep the budget down. They went and found 4 or 5 really popular people that were on TV at the time. So it would just be cheaper to get them in a movie. And I'm like, why is that not a thing?
Yeah.
I'm shocked that that's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean, Cat was just coming off of Greatest American Hero. Of course, we had George Wendt, was skyrocketing because of Cheers, and Richard Mole. I mean, Bull himself, Bull Shannon. And a lot of people don't realize how much of a heavy he was until he did Night Court, where he became that lovable bailiff. And rest their souls, both George Wendt and Richard Mole. I mean, it just sad.
And even though she's not on camera very much, Kay Lenz was a big soap star at the time. So she had kind of was a big soap star at the time. They filled in the cast very nicely. Susan French, of course, plays that aunt, and she has done a lot of work in her past as well.
Yeah.
And there's a little critter, which I kind of wanted to mention too, played by Felix Silla, who was Squeaky back in the day for Buck Rogers. I met Felix a couple times. Really funny little guy. Really just an interesting man to kind of chat with a little bit. Very appreciative of fans. It was such a different feel in that 90s era with these people who were sort of kind of like, they're living on the vapors of that. It was all sort of like winding down. Their careers were kind of coming to their close with the 80s and 90s stuff changing. VHS changed everything. Heading into the era of cable, which you talked about. That's when you saw this movie for the first time, was on cable. So yeah, it's a good time. Good one to go back to for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean Felix. I mean, think about all he played. He played Cousin It. He played all across the board. Then you start throwing in some of the other little people that were acting. Whether it's Kenny Baker or Jack Purvis or whatever. Then even Deep Roy. Then you start finding out how they shuffled together and were in this one. Of course, we can't forget Billy Barty. I mean, it's just so silly how it go. But he's a legend. He's a legend in my book.
Yeah.
Particularly because he played Tweaky. Bitty, 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 bitty. I know, that was low playing, but...
What about Buck?
Yeah, that was good. So we have a little intro, and then you have just the little backstory with all these weird customers, because he's a horror writer who's going to write more of a biography dealing with his own PTSD in Vietnam. And in the course of there's his ex-wife we talked about briefly. She's a soap star at the time, and you have sort of like this backstory of this haunted house, and he has different memories that's kind of playing out, and things that are going to start eerily happening in the house, that kind of thing. Is there anything that kind of surprised you from what you remembered?
Not too much. I mean, I thought they were kind of doing a pretty good job of the building up. Of course, recognizing, many of the, what would you say, the character actors that's in there, like the realtor who was in, all the Berman series of Star Trek in a guest role, and tons of others. He's that, you've seen that face, you know who that guy is, but you don't know who that guy is.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of that, your classic, you're in a Victorian house. The Victorian house is haunted. Whatever it is that caused his aunt, and of course, her coming back and haunting him for that brief moment. And of course, the flashback, he was like, she's a nutter, but she wasn't wrong.
Correct. Yeah.
And the paintings, which were, it takes Salvador Dali and hit him with some whatever joy juice it is and let him really go nuts.
Yeah, I like the fact that they try to ground something in a very, and we'll get to sort of like my criticism of the movie, but I love the fact that the initial setup was great. Then, of course, you have something that's very real happening where this thing just bursts out of this closet at him, scratches him, giant mechanical physical puppet. It's magnificently done. And I will just, spoiler a little bit about my review, kind of criminally forgotten about in this movie. Like, it just sort of like doesn't come up enough again. I'm just like, oh, it's so disappointing, because it was really, really good. A good high point in the movie for me, for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, and how bizarre. And to be honest with you, a bit of that scene I do have some criticism on, but not the monster. I mean, it's like, oh, this is what we need more for monsters. And, all the whether it's latex on people or just puppets like that. I thought they did a great job of getting that fear,
Agreed.
especially the dancing fish on the wall.
Yeah, the dancing fish. I think the problem too, though, is the film wants to play fast and loose with the tone because it immediately kind of gives you
Mhm,
some comedy, which isn't bad.
mhm.
It
No.
just doesn't know what to do. It has George Wendt kind of playing it kind of straight,
Mhm,
concerned about him, and then you have the flashback sequence, of course, to Vietnam. There's our Richard Mole, and that's what's going to be kind of
mhm,
playing there. And then you have this just not quite sure what's happening before other creatures start showing up,
mhm,
and he thinks he sees something, but it turns out that he sees his ex-wife. And
mhm,
just as police are arriving because of the gun, and you have this sort
mhm.
of very interesting dynamic. Now, I will admit, I like the fact that at this point in the movie, they're leaning very much into how he's going to descend into madness like his aunt. It's very much like, oh, okay, you're going to have hallucinations and visions, things that you're seeing, not seeing, behave erratically,
Mhm.
and ultimately it leads
Right.
to your own insanity. It seems very spot on that that's the direction the whole film is going to go. So I did not remember
Mhm.
that, and I will admit that it was something that I was enjoying a lot. I will
Right.
say your thoughts. I like the latex and the creatures and the realism,
Yeah.
but I also know that sometimes they were like, yeah, they were all right. So it was just like
Yeah.
not everything aged well, but it was
No.
it was a good fun experience for what they were going for sure.
Oh yeah, and experimentation. That was so great about the films in the '80s. I mean, there was a lot of experimentation, which I think you don't have that fearlessness today. They they want to keep a status quo, and some of it came out great, like the monster in the closet, and some of it wasn't so great, like his monster ex wife. It was cute. The stuff that they had was kind of cute and all that. But yeah, her character, her makeup didn't really uh, hold up well, in my opinion.
Well, I think part of the
Unlike Ben.
problem, and again, we've said this with other movies as well, is they should have shot this so it would have been night or a flickering light.
Hmm.
Give it more. Hide
Yeah.
some of your work. Hide some of your work.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's latex. Obviously, it's not going to.
Hmm.
This is an uber low budget movie, $3 million total. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if they had just had this be something that he thought he had seen, and then when you cut to the evening is when this thing shows up again, and what.
Hmm.
So I think again, it's just a couple of decisions, a couple of tweaks would have made this way more palatable and scary and creepier. And instead, it
Hmm.
becomes kind of goofy and comical and outdated. But
Right.
the story itself doesn't get derailed from that. And that's what holds
Hmm.
this film together pretty much.
Right.
It does a really good job.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things they kind of violated in the horror genre. You have yourself a Victorian mansion like this, but you hardly have anything in the dark or at the
Hmm.
nighttime, like you were saying. Where again, like you said, that effect would work, but and even more so, meaning the whole atmosphere would add to it. And that's probably one of the
100%.
downfalls. I know it's a trope; it's your common trope. Nighttime monsters in the dark, things that go bump in the night or boo in the night or whatever it is. But it's one that's still effective today. And when you have a
It
beautiful
could have just
Victorian
been
house like that, yeah.
just tweak it. Just make it at night. Make it that it so the first phase during that first part is
Mhm,
he's seeing stuff during the day, he's seeing stuff at night, whatever it is. It's all hotspots. Then he gets the George Wendt character to spend the night
mhm,
waiting for something to
mhm,
happen like they do, but nothing's happening. Then at night, George Wendt's character's falling asleep. I mean, you could tweak it just enough to help. Again,
mhm,
what is the goal here? The goal here is we need to allow for some creepiness and some aura building so that it kind of
mhm,
overshadows some of the low budget nature. Again, take a page out of like why did Alien and Ridley Scott pull this off, guys? He knew what he was working with. He knew the
mhm.
limitations of the time, and the
Right.
movie kind of struggles a bit with that. And again, the pacing, and they're trying to throw
Yeah.
so many things in it. So out of the blue, we get the hot neighbor. She was a
Mm,
Bond girl. So you have this sort of thing that happens. Hey, I'll see you anytime kind of thing.
mhm,
And he was in the middle of burying the crazy creature that we saw a minute ago, and you have this gag with the hand. The
mhm,
hand is still moving, which I don't know, Baron. Again, a rewatch. It works fun for the laugh, and it works
yeah.
fun for that. but it doesn't make sense. Obviously, if it's still moving, it's either going to put itself back together or it will figure out how to dig itself out. But
Right.
okay, you know,
I was thinking the same thing.
and then you have just, oh, I'm going to let you watch my kid, which this did not age well at all. Like this whole concept of this just did not. Like it's, again, folks, a less creepy time to have some random neighbor you barely know watch your kid and take care of your kid and give your kid a bath, which was, again, so it's just one of those things where in hindsight, again, look, you can see the hand is on the kid's back. And then, of course, he tries to flush the hand, which actually works, which, again, makes no sense of why that giant hand would go down the toilet. But go ahead, Baron.
I want that toilet. I want that toilet. If it can do that,
everything will go.
I want that toilet.
The pipes in that Victorian house, they're for real, man. Because if it doesn't, yeah. So now the irony is they almost focus too much on the puppets in the shot where the chimney stuff is done. Oh, so I just wish you didn't need to show so much. You're at least are taking the advice of what I said earlier with, hey, let's shoot in some shadows and whatever. We just didn't need to see so much of them. The closet monster does show up briefly. He should be wet, by the way. Get some water on him, make him wet so he doesn't look rubbery. And that's when George Wett's character is like, holy crap, this guy is not insane. He's in the middle of some sort of weird haunted house. So it really becomes fun then, because now the audience and the characters are all on the same page. We're all on the same page for the last act of the movie where we're going to figure something out together. Because at this point, the audience knew things, characters didn't know, vice versa. It's great to see this. A really nice little story, got to be honest, in that part. So it worked out pretty well. We have more flashbacks, more paintings, things that he's going to, quote, piece together, that the key to getting to the dimension will be even his missing son is through this mirror, and you end up with this dimension and the creature. And, certain things just don't make a lot of sense before we get to the sort of Richard Mole part of it. But yeah, let me back up and just show everybody what I was talking about. So he's having these different flashbacks as a creature, and then the painting you can see here on the left, the picture with the mirror, and then of course down the rabbit hole he goes into the other zone, and his flashback before the Richard Mole zombie comes into play. Now, what were your thoughts on that at the end here, Baron, with how they kind of wrap it all up? Because I'm not even sure that I totally understand why the house is haunted. Like, he took the kid. Why is everything else happening? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, that in and by itself, it could have been fixed again with a quick little lines and all that. That the house manifests your biggest fears / regrets, and that's why Big Ben, because of the situation that he was in Vietnam, and it was, what was it that drove the aunt to be that way, and then others. It's like this house is a twisted fantasy house, and they could have just dropped something like that, or he comes across something that's a clue to it. I mean, we had the Chekhov's gun; it was that painting, even though the important part was covered with cloth. But specifically pointed out the paintings, and she was a painter and all that, and pointing at a different painting, but you still saw the other one. And I know I read, reading the review when it came down to the war situation and how it looked it didn't feel right. But I think, I don't know if it was by design or by accident. I think the fact that he's reliving it through his mind, there's a little bit of sanitizing he was doing when he was writing it for basically his own sanity. That's why it felt so close to him, because it was such a personal thing. Everything seemed like it was this little micro universe they was in. Everybody was clean. It doesn't look like they traveled all that far. And of course, it was focused on, of course, Big Ben, who you saw what happened and why Ben is doing what he's doing now. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take on that myself. I was not seeing the fact that it was being sloppy. I think it was actually going the fact that, we're looking at what's going on through this person's, what he's writing, and that can be different than what the actual event. The larger. He's focusing on the one thing instead of the bigger thing. So again, I don't know if it's by accident. I don't know if it was by design. I think it was brilliant.
Yeah, I think they were trying to stay they were trying to like really narrow down. They were trying to they're really into that the Vietnam trope at the time. What movies like Platoon, obviously Full Metal Jacket that comes out after this, things like this. So this was a thing, but they were trying not to get even harder into the rated R lane, trying not to get more graphic, trying to keep something that the PG-13 type era could kind of handle, and families could, and really that's its legacy. Its legacy is it's in that sort of in between lane of being intense but never being too much. I will say that the suit, the zombie stuff for the Richard Malkovich, it works well, and then it doesn't, and then it does again. So they have more than one actor in the suit, in the outfit. It's not Richard Mall. So clearly you have the statutes are different, the builds are different. It doesn't quite match, but again, uber low budget movie. I was trying to be very forgiving with all of that. It has a lot of things that it did right, and I agree with you. It was trying to figure out how to manifest this haunted house tale with a different little twist with someone experiences some PTSD. It just it also creates a lot of other conundrums that maybe it's this. It wouldn't shock you, would it, to find out this is not the original script. This is some sort of byproduct of what got edited and released. Like there's some of our loopholes and plot holes were in the script, and maybe even filmed. I didn't even look up deleted scenes or anything like that. So I just feel like I'm missing pieces of the equation for this to make more sense.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of the charm. I don't know. And of course, going back to the Vietnam sequence, well, obviously you got such a small budget, you're not going to be able to. So maybe it was the fact that, hey, being that we have a limited, why don't we do it this way? I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to ask. It would be interesting to ask those involved as that particular scene and those scenes, because I know it was being panned by one critic, but I was just sitting back kind of thinking about it. It's like, well, did you try thinking a little bit more that, it was by intent or, But I think they should have had a little more explanation on the house. Basically the fact that, this is a fantasy house of Twisted, and it works on that psyche. It wants to wear you down. It wants you to destroy yourself, which of course happened to the aunt. And now it's going to be hoping that that the William Cass character, Roger Cobb, will follow in the same light. So
it just makes no sense to me that because they don't really create enough of the rules to know what the rules are.
Yeah.
So we don't really know how to follow what's actually happening. So with this whole son subplot, where the son was abducted by the Richard Mall Ben's character as revenge, and he sort of implied he's part of the reason that a lot of this stuff is happening. But the problem is we save the kid. But the kid has been dead in our world for a long while. So how has he sort of lived and survived? I'm not trying to be super nitpicky, folks, but you do kind of have to explain it enough where we need to know how did he eat and poop for however long he's been dead. Like, we need to kind of have an idea of what pocket universe. Give us, as Baron says, give us a line, give us something to go on to help get our heads around what. So they leave all this stuff very ambiguous and gray. I feel like it's stuff that may have ended up on cutting room floors or, I don't know. Because the Vietnam stuff was the least of my concern at that point. I was never bothered by any of that. So to have these critics being hung up on that, I was like, I'm not with them at all. I didn't get that issue at all.
No, I mean, just like you're sitting back saying about, how long has the kid been disappeared, right? And now the kid's coming back at the same age that he did disappear several years later. And obviously we can figure that this was a wedge that was put between him and, the couple, the mother and the father, and why they separated. And then it comes down to the other question. Okay, how long were you living in this house with your aunt?
Yeah.
And and all of a sudden, it doesn't sound like there was really a peep of anything said about it until the movie starts. So I mean, that was another thing that was kind of hard to really grasp on. It's like, okay, why? I mean, obviously the aunt knows. Would she really want to have her family staying there if this house was as dangerous as she thought? The other problem, it involves our friendly monster in the closet. You know, he goes out, buys all this equipment, you know, in a lighthearted moment in the movie to record. Did he ever record anything?
There's all sorts of stuff that happens. Well, even before I got to that as an issue, I wanted to say that like, it doesn't make sense too. Like he's lived in this house with his aunt. He has written other books and not have any of these Vietnam PTSD issues. So it wasn't clearly defined. Has he never gone back to the house in the meantime? Like in other words, the fear and regret that he has from that incident in Vietnam would have manifested previously had he been in and around the house, even if it was just for a visit, but he's been fine this whole time. So it's a little tricky to understand some of the rules and that kind of thing. So if you have to go along to just have some fun with this movie, don't get too in the weeds, because if you get into the weeds, it definitely doesn't hold up that well. But I want to give some definitely credit. William Katt is all in on this, man. He's really, really good in this movie. I you know, there's scenes in that. And again, that first half of the movie is really solid as a haunted house movie. Like it really does a really good job. Right. The ideas and the threads just keep kind of getting away from them, in my opinion. But he is not the problem. He is all in. I actually chuckled a little bit too, where they keep trying to show his shirt really unbuttoned, like way down, like they were trying to show off of how worked out he's at. Like, dude, he is really leaning into, hey, I want to be a leading man.
Right.
Kind of fun. Kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was really underrated as an actor. It still is. I mean, this is Della Street's son, for crying out loud. He was in 9 Perry Mason films. You know, bugging old Perry Mason and such. Of course, The Greatest American Hero, where you had to have that comic timing along with the seriousness of the situation around it. So, I mean, he knows how to work that type of thing. I mean, really, it's no slam. I think he did a better job than George Wendt. And I'm a big fan of George Wendt.
I don't think George Wendt was given anything to work with. I think it was just, you know, show up, react to a couple scenes, and he was just used for his name. It's really kind of sad because he didn't really have any real significant thing to do or anything. He had the one sort of reaction or whatever, and that was pretty much it.
Ready?
And all the best. This is a William Katt movie for William Katt, about William Katt. It's just, it was all, that's it. So everybody else, even Richard Mole, when he's there, he got to be outlandish for a couple of his Vietnam clips, and then everything else is not. So, you know, all in all, I think it was not as good as I kind of remembered in a way. Like it's kind of tricky because I like it a lot more in some ways, but I thought of it as a much better haunted house, scarier movie, and I was really never scared, or I didn't have that feeling of that intensity. That's best way to explain it, I guess. And I feel like the first half of the movie and the latter half of the movie is just almost two different films, and we have so many threads and so many pieces. So I have to come down pretty midland on it and give it like 2.5 out of 5. And I think it's because there is some nostalgia elements for something that's this low budget in the 80s. It definitely doesn't get talked about in our low budget horror circles, because slasher movies were so much less and made so much more and spawned massive IP. Now this one did spawn some sequels. Never seen them. I don't have any desire to see them unless someone out there is going to convince me how great House 3 or 4 are. I'm not watching them, but yeah.
Actually, I really liked House 2.
Okay.
I did like House 2, and in some ways, I liked it a little bit better than the original one here. But it was more geared to the humor side of it, along with everything else. I mean, I haven't seen anything after that one. I never cared to be honest with you. I know I know William Cat came back for like the third one, which was like a third or fourth one, I can't remember, which was one of those direct to movies. So we all know what a direct to movie back in the day was like.
Yeah.
But I think House 2 is worth a gander, if not just to have, if anything, just to have a giggle. I've actually seen House 2 more than I've seen this one.
That's
and
good. No, I'm very hesitant to ruin my House experience.
Oh, yeah.
I had a very pleasant time watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I had some laughs. I enjoyed it for what it was. I feel comfortable with my 2.5. I feel like that's fine. It's solid. And it's definitely nice. It's aged in a way that it's in the same category of like Poltergeist and others, where it's like the perfect movie to move children into horror with. Like it's scary at times, and it might give them some boogeyman moments and vibes. You have to decide on your child what they can and can't handle, but this at least moves them before they get into things that get really graphic and really intense or whatever. So,
and a lot of kids
like
that creep. Yeah, I mean, a lot of kids like that creep factor, and I mean, someone was calling it a family friendly horror film, and I guess you could say that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go for necessarily really younger kids, but yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where a younger kid would sit back and say, wow, I'm being privileged. It's like I'm a grown up now. I'm watching this one. And you're going, yeah, a lot better than watching Friday the 13th. I tell you what. I give it 3. Right, I give it the 3 popcorn buckets because, again, you know, William Cat did a great job. And,
it's true.
You know, a lot of stuff was set up just fine. Just like you said, the build up and such. I thought Richard Mole did a good job for the short time that he was on the screen. I felt bad for George Wendt, just like you said. It's like, what was his purpose? I think if they fleshed that out, you could have had almost, you know, he had his, William Cat would have his sidekick more. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to put it on the must-watch necessary list for the Halloween season that I have, but I'd sit back and say it's like the Apocrypha. If you got time, please watch it. Please watch it. But I wouldn't say this is a go out of your way film. But this is another perfect example of the 80s where they were fearless. They tried new things. Some of them worked, some of it didn't. We need more like this out there. And really, there was intelligence behind it. It just wasn't one of these things where someone's just hunting you down and hacking you.
It's not a slasher film. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Definitely trying to deal with the haunted house trope in an interesting way. And like I said, I just wish that they had, and again, I just don't, I think Fred Decker's done so many scripts that's like, you feel like there's pieces missing. Like, what was the original plan? What was the original, and I don't know. I don't love the movie so much that I'm going to go that deep down the rabbit hole to try to unpack some of those kinds of things. But that's how I feel. And maybe some folks out there can let us know.
You know, I think one of the problems is, again, you kind of brushed on it earlier about don't know what type of film we're trying to make here because, you know, like in the beginning, building up, had a lot of feel of the old Hammer films. And then it starts getting vibes of some of the other type of horror films. But, you know, again, we're talking about the classic. I don't think it really went into the Universal monster feel, but it was more like the British Hammer horror, stuff like that, the knockoffs of Hammer horror. But it didn't stay on that course. It decided to make some veers here and there. It's like, well, check your lane. What lane are you in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Decide how you want to handle your humor. How do you want to handle your mythology and what your rules are? Let the audience in on a little bit more so we can kind of better embrace it. And then it just kind of abruptly ends, and that's fine. But I feel like it just can't quite hit the ball solid enough. It ends up with like a single or a double. It doesn't go for the home run. It kind of plays it a little too safe in a way for that as well. Right. But overall, enjoyed experience. Think you guys would enjoy it as well. I know Baron did. We were talking about we had a pleasant time.
You know, I going back to that point, it's like, you know, we're talking about some of the flaws. It's like, you know, going back in, they're trimming some stuff out that's not necessarily necessary or confusing. Maybe get it down to an hour. It would have been like watching one of the old Hammer House of Horror TV shows. TV show that we got. And it's like, ooh, that would work. Or when our night gallery or something like that.
Okay.
With the proper editing down, and that way you're allowed to keep the mystery and have the questions, because there's nothing wrong with walking out with questions. It's just how you do it.
Yeah, I just kind of it's an hour and 6 with credits. I think I can get down to about 90 minutes. And I think the hardest thing is I'd have to sell that we're probably not going to have the kid alive. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing for people to want to have to hear. But I think it would have been better had the house taken the boy. And the boy's not with us anymore, but we're not going to really address, the details of his demise, and rather let it be that the house can kill you. The house can take you. So taking its power from the house by not being afraid and whatever removes the power over you, and you can at least escape the house, or you can destroy the house and that kind of thing. So I think it would have been easier to take that focus and then kind of reverse engineer the things you don't need. So then him falling through the mirror and some of that kind of stuff just becomes frivolous and kind of a waste of 2 or 3 minutes here. He almost would have been better to have a dream sequence. Like he's staring at this photo, staring at this painting, and he ends up falling asleep. And he's into this world and whatever, and then that's when Richard Mole's standing there. I don't know. There's little things like that. I think we could nuance our way through and spiff it up a little bit.
Well, I was just kind of thinking through there the fact that his aunt came back as a ghost and all that. Maybe it's holding the souls of the people. So the kid's dead, just like the auntie. But their souls there, by doing a lot of this, he's freed the souls at least to go beyond. And I mean, I think because we got that element, we already got that the actual ghost. Why not extend it even further? And I mean, it's still a sadish ending, but at least that the kid went to a better place.
Yeah, because at the end, instead of having the kid there running to the arms of this ex-wife, you almost feel like she could just see that the ghost is there. He could be there embracing the ghost, and then he turns and stands up, sees her, and the ghost sees the mom and just kind of waves at the mom and then just vanishes or whatever. And she starts crying because it's like she gives her closure. He didn't just vanish. He is gone. It is sad, but it is also happy that you can move on. And then maybe they can embrace and you can go. Like, they don't have to be a couple, but they definitely had the vibes that they were going to get back together through the whole movie. You had all these moments that they care that much about each other. So
kind of wasted.
Take.
But...
Yeah.
See, we just fixed that film completely.
I can at least get it to a 3. I can at least get it to a 3.5 with these little tweaks and modifications. I really can. And I think I can get to a 4 if they let me get into the lighting department and makeup and try to go, listen, we got to redesign this shot and these scenes, and we got to really make it a little more. And we can still say family friendly. I don't think we have to get gorish. I just think we have to just make it a little more eerie and creepy and learn from what works. So.
And it wasn't gory. That's the great thing about it.
No, it's fine. Yeah. It feels more like a PG-13 movie. I don't know what its rating even is, but it feels like a PG-13 movie. It doesn't feel like anything more. And again, family friendly, transitional tween type film for me is what I put this one in. So, Bear, thanks for watching this with me, man. It's been good.
Oh, I was more than happy to. It was great to go back, and I remember it now more fondly than the first time. So, maybe it's because I matured.
That's it. That's right. The gray puts perspective. Yeah. But folks, listen, you tell us what you guys think. Plug in some of those details for us. Check out this guy's stuff. Make sure you enjoy PopsToberFest with us. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Pops.